It all began one quiet morning as the first rays of sunlight touched the old wooden fences of a small town. John, a middle-aged man, lived a seemingly uneventful life. His days began with a quiet breakfast in his empty house, continued with hours of work at the factory, and ended in a long silence. But deep down, John knew something was wrong. He couldn't name the feeling, only that it felt like a big hole gnawing at his heart. The feeling became even more evident when he thought of Michael, his only son. Michael lived in the big city, where the bright lights and busy pace of life made their meetings increasingly rare. They talked only about work, the weather, or trivial news, never enough to touch on their deepest feelings. That weekend, Michael came to visit. They sat on the porch, drinking hot coffee. A few short stories with no beginning or end quickly led to an unexpected argument. "Have you ever thought about taking a break?" Michael asked, his eyes never leaving the phone in his hand. "What do you think you should do? Sit around and wait to die?" John replied, his voice full of sarcasm. "I don't mean that, but you live like a machine. Do you ever think you're happy?" Michael said, his voice full of frustration. "Happy? Do you think you have time to think about that? You work for me, for your family," John shouted. "But what's left of your family, Dad? Mom's gone. I'm far away. And you still live like you're enough," Michael shouted back, then stood up and walked away. John sat there, feeling more empty than ever. Michael's words, though painful, were true. He couldn't remember the last time he felt truly happy. The next morning, on his way to the factory, John saw a bright red bird perched on the fence. It sang 3 times. Its eyes seemed to stare into his soul, then flapped its wings and flew away. The image repeated itself every day, like a signal from the universe that he couldn't explain. At the same time, strange little events continued to occur. A little girl ran up to him and gave him a bright yellow flower, then disappeared before he could ask her name. A stranger smiled at him on the street, wishing him a nice day, with a warm look in his eyes. And then, on a park bench, he picked up a book called The Simple Way. Its pages were filled with stories about inner peace and what it meant to live life to the fullest. One afternoon, while wandering, John came across an old man sitting on a bench feeding birds. The old man looked at him and said, "It's a nice day, isn't it?" John nodded, sitting down next to him. "You look tired. Is something bothering you?" the old man asked, his eyes penetrating. "I feel empty, but I don't know why," John admitted. The old man chuckled. "Have you ever looked at a flower? Just looked at it, without thinking about it?" John shook his head. "When you look, you don't just see the flower, you see yourself in it. That's how you find peace," he said. That evening, John sat down next to a flower in his garden. He looked closely. The bright yellow color, the delicate veins on the petals, the way it gently swayed in the wind. He didn't think about work. He didn't think about loneliness. He just existed in that moment. And in that moment, he felt connected to the world. The next morning, he began to notice more of everything around him. The birds chirping, the sunlight filtering through the leaves, the scent of the green grass. He realized that peace was not something far away, but something that was always right there, waiting for his attention. When Michael visited again, he noticed that something was different about his father. "You look different," Michael said. "You've learned to enjoy the little things," John replied, a smile on his face. "Like what?" Michael asked. John smiled, his eyes brighter than ever. Like the sunset, like the birds singing, like the feeling of the wind on your face, John replied. Michael shrugged, looking skeptical. Is that helpful? Life is so busy, Dad. John didn't blame his son. He just said, I used to think so too. But then I realized that happiness doesn't lie in finding great things. It lies in how we see the simple things. Michael looked at his father, surprised, but also a little relieved. He realized that sometimes the answer lies not in distant things, but in our presence in life. When John looked at the small flowers swaying in the wind, he realized that life is not lacking in beautiful things. It's just that our eyes are sometimes blurred because we are busy searching too far away. Perhaps we are like him, sometimes forgetting that happiness is not something we have to conquer, but the feeling of completeness when we stop to feel the simple things around us. A warm cup of tea in the morning, a loving look from a loved one, or just a moment of watching the sunset coloring the sky. Those moments, no matter how small, are the pieces that make up the picture of happiness. So why don't we try to slow down a bit, to listen to the symphony that life silently offers? Happiness comes from appreciating the simple things. Did you know that Mahatma Gandhi once said, happiness is when you think, speak, and act in harmony? But don't worry, we're not here to lecture you on philosophy or the pressure to be perfect. We want to explore with you something more magical. How to feel happy in the simplest things that you may have forgotten. Now, imagine you're chasing a deadline. Your phone is ringing loudly, and your mind is making a list of 100 things to do. Then suddenly, you look out the window, see a ray of sunlight filtering through the leaves, shining on the ground, creating strange shapes. You stop for a second, maybe just for a second, but you feel peaceful. And there, you've just touched simple happiness without having to make much effort. Have you ever thought that happiness is not about how much you achieve, but how much you feel from what you have? A fragrant cup of coffee in the morning, a thank you from a stranger, a tight hug from a loved one. These little things, as trivial as they may sound, are the happiness vitamins for the soul. Let me tell you a little secret. People often think of happiness as something big, like winning the lottery or getting a promotion. But the truth is, those big moments are just the icing on the happiness cake. The real cake, the part that gives you the real nourishment, is the little, everyday things that you often overlook. If you wait for the icing, you might miss the whole cake. So why do we overlook the simple things? Maybe we're too busy to notice, or maybe we think they're not important enough. But the truth is, it's the little things that help us connect with ourselves and the world around us. Think about it. When was the last time you enjoyed a rain shower or watched a sunset without glancing at your phone? Have you ever noticed something special in those simple moments? As Gandhi reminded us, happiness is not something far away. It lies in every breath, every glance, every smile. So next time, try to slow down and appreciate the little things. Who knows? You might realize that life is more beautiful than you thought. If you have ever experienced a simple but meaningful moment of happiness, please share it in the comments section. Who knows? Your story might inspire millions of others. When you learn to appreciate the simple things, you will realize that happiness is not a destination, but a journey that we take every day. But here's the strange thing. Those little moments only truly touch our hearts when we are awake enough to connect with them right now. Think about it. You can see a beautiful sunset, but if your mind is busy worrying about tomorrow, can you feel its beauty? It is the connection with the present that is the key to unlocking the door to peace, where your soul can rest and feel every beat of life. Peace lies in connecting with the present. Do you ever feel like a smartphone that runs out of battery too quickly, even though you don't use many of its complex features? Are you fully charged every day? Or are you constantly racing with notifications, schedules, and a seemingly never-ending to-do list? If the answer is yes, I'm tired, zrenia, вы не один. Most of us are. But let me share a secret with you. Peace is not about doing more, but about living more fully. Try answering this question. When was the last time you enjoyed a meal? I mean, not scrolling through your phone, but enjoying every bite, every taste, every moment. If you can't remember, then it's time to talk about connecting with the present. In the modern world, we're distracted by everything, from ping notifications to social media timelines. The scariest thing is not the noise outside, but the noise inside our minds. We keep thinking about what's gone, worrying about what's yet to come, and forgetting that this moment, the moment you're reading this, is what exists. Let me tell you a little story. One day, I was sitting in the middle of a mountain of work when my cat jumped on the table, knocking over my coffee cup. At first, I was annoyed, but when I stopped to wipe the table, I suddenly noticed the sunlight streaming through the window, making everything sparkle like diamonds. In that moment, I felt a strange sense of peace because I had stopped, breathed, and truly been present. Did you know that Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "Peace is when you return to the present moment and realize that everything is enough"? Sometimes, we don't have to do anything big to achieve peace. Just stop, listen to your heartbeat, and look at the familiar things around you with new eyes. I challenge you to try this. Right now, stop everything and just listen to this video until the end. Take a deep breath and feel. What sounds do you hear? What colors do you see? What details do you hear? How does your body feel? This is how you start connecting with the present. And if you can, share a recent moment when you felt truly at peace in the comments. Don't be shy, because your little story might be what someone needs to find peace in their life. Remember, peace is not somewhere far away. It is right here in this moment. You just need to stop and feel it. Have you tried it? Thank you for taking the time to share this journey of awakening with us. Life, sometimes, is like a gentle song that we forget to listen to because we are too busy. But thanks to you, the wonderful audience, we are together, rekindling that melody little by little to make life more gentle and meaningful. We know that each of us has our own story, ups and downs, and simple, meaningful things. And it is thanks to your companionship that we can continue to spread healing stories, bringing a sense of peace and deep connection with the present. Thank you for being here, listening, and feeling. If you feel that today's story touches your heart, don't hesitate to like as a way to save this moment and share to spread the feeling of peace to those you love. And leave a comment, a quote, a thought, or a memory that makes you feel happiest and most fulfilled. Who knows? Your words may inspire millions of others. Remember, you deserve all the good things because your presence alone is a gift.